Hello. Good, how are you? Everything's ready. So we just finished up the toilet with the and would you like water? Yeah, thank you. Good morning. How are you? Thanks. Yeah, good, thanks. Okay, it's 1:30, so I will start. Good morning, everybody in the Gompa and everybody online. Great to see you all there. Thank you. So we're going to do meditation on patience, of course, because we're up to patience in the Bodhisattva's way of life. And basically, I've taken the meditation straight from Geshe-la's teaching last Thursday. I've added extra bit in from reading and from my own, from my own mind, I guess. Anyway, we'll just take a moment to just settle, bring our bodies, settle our bodies in the Gompa on the cushion, relax our body and our mind. We'll just do a little bit of breathing meditation. So we can do the 9-round breathing. So visualizing 3 channels, central channel and 2 side channels right beside it. And breathing in through the left nostril and out through the right 3 times. Breathing in all the white light and nectars of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then breathing out all the attachment through your right nostril. All the negativities of attachment, all the wanting, the never letting go, never satisfied. And then in through the right and out through the left 3 times. Once again, breathing in all the white light and nectars of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, blessing your continuum. And breathing out all the negativities associated with anger and aversion, hatred. And in through both nostrils and out through the crown of your head. So in through both and out through both, but imagine that it comes out through the crown of your head. And we're breathing in all the white light of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, blessing our continuum and breathing out all the ignorance, all the not knowing, the not understanding. Just letting it all go, the not seeing reality. And then just watching your breath for a little while in a calm, relaxed state. Imagining that all your afflictive emotions are suppressed. You're ready for a meditation to receive understanding, realization, merging the Dharma with your mind. And gathering around us all living beings, all in human form, all our friends, our enemies, our strangers, remembering that they're just mere labels we apply to people, in dependence upon whether they help us, harm us, or don't do anything for us. But developing an equal mind toward them all, knowing that they can change in an instant. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, and strangers become both friends and enemies. So they are all equal for our compassion, for our compassion, for our wish to liberate them from suffering, to lead them to enlightenment. And holding this motivation, and this motivation makes our practice a Dharma motivation and not worldly. And having our Dharma motivation for all our actions that we engage ourselves in brings us closest to the renunciation, to the giving up of the worldly dharmas, enabling us to engage in pure Dharma practice. So we're currently looking at chapter 6, the chapter on patience in the Bodhisattva's way of life. And within that chapter, there are three main headings. So one is cultivating patience that accepts suffering. 2, cultivating patience intent on the Dharma. And 3, cultivating patience that pays no heed to those who cause harm, which is where we are right now. We're covering a couple of verses prior to that third heading, but mainly we've moved into that area, the patience that pays no heed to those who cause harm. So we started on Thursday at verse 32, which is within the second main heading, the patience intent on the Dharma. So looking at verse 32, the need to overcome fury is the subheading under number 3. Patience paying no heed to those who cause harm. And in the previous verses to that, we established that phenomena do not arise independently. And we looked at a couple of presentations by the Samkhyas and the Nyayas. Who hold, well, I'm not sure what they hold, I can't emphatically say that, but grasp to permanence. They hold views that are not consistent with the Prasangika Madhyamika view. So establishing in those previous verses that phenomena do not arise independently of causes and conditions. They are not independent entities. So all functional entities, the Buddha taught, perform actions while being empty of inherent existence, empty of existing from their own side. And that gives us a reason that one does not become angry at them, at phenomena. And that therefore realized dependent arising is a lack of existing from its own side, which works to destroy the seeds of afflictions in our mind. So these words may not mean anything to you at the moment, but just hearing lack of inherent existence, lack of existing from its own side, gives rise to imprints that are laid down on your mental continuum. And slowly over time, you can build up an understanding of what that actually means. So we established that all migrators, all sentient beings, are like emanations, like illusions, like a dewdrop or a bubble. They lack inherent existence. And then giving rise to see that, therefore, it's unreasonable to be furious with them. And realize that dependent arising is a lack of existing from its own side, which destroys the seeds of afflictions. So there is no creator out there other than our own mind, our own causes and conditions that give rise to phenomena and appearance. And causes necessarily give rise to an effect. And if it has a cause, it must be impermanent. And that there is a corresponding unique relationship between cause and effect. They are related. They are dependent. So Geshe-la commenced the teaching last Thursday, making references that all things, all phenomena are like illusions, are like apparitions, are necessarily dependent arising. But in a conventional sense, even though things arise as dependent arisings, they're still real in a conventional sense. We still experience them. So we don't fall into annihilation. For our conventional existence, experience confirms its existence. But in appreciating its illusion-like nature of things and events, we can better deal with the problem by contemplating the emptiness of it. So, presenting a syllogism. So we need to overcome anger. Why? Because we want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. And this is true for not only ourselves, but everybody that surrounds us. It is so true. We just want happiness and we don't want suffering. It's all we ever want. So if we purify anger, we purify the afflictive emotions. Suffering does not occur and happiness arises. So as Geshe-la said, suffering arises in reality, but in fact it's like an apparition. Dependent origination arises and it can be overcome. All the afflictions in our mind stream, the negative emotions, they are adventitious. They do not inherently exist. They're not one with the mind. They lack inherent existence. They are dependent arising. And in dependence upon realizing a lack of inherent existence of the object of abandonment, anger, and the antidote, all afflictions, including anger, become non-existent. They're eliminated. So what is the antidote? How can we quash these afflictions? We need to develop a path, and in particular, the path that perceptually realizes emptiness, realizes the emptiness of these phenomena. So imagine in your mind stream somebody you know, Perhaps someone you label an enemy. So see this person committing improper actions and think that these improper actions, these such things arise from causes and conditions. These things, these actions are not one with that person's mind. They're arising dependently. So we can think that phenomena, the agent, the action, so that's the subject and the object, and the action that arises from the meeting of those is a dependent arising. So without one of those, that dependent arising won't arise. Those three need to come together. So in essence, it is like an illusion, but it functions in a conventional sense. So it's like an illusion. They depend on causes and conditions. They don't exist independently. Therefore, they can be overcome. Geshe-la said that overcoming afflictions is like an illusion. An illusion does not exist in the way it appears. All the phenomena that we apprehend around us do not exist in the way they appear. They appear to exist from their own side, by way of their own nature, without depending on anything else. This is our, in inverted commas, reality. This is how we perceive it or conceive it to be. But it doesn't exist in that way. So we can look for an object, an elephant in this room. An elephant in this room does not exist. This room is empty of elephant. So too the I on our mental continuum that is labelled on this body and mind. This I does not inherently exist. It is just labelled by the mind. And when it's labelled on this body and mind, immediately it appears back to the mind, inherently existing from its own side, without depending on anything else. But in fact, depends upon our mind labelling it on this body and mind. Depends on causes and conditions. And on the parts, the aggregates that it's labelled upon. And the mind labelling, the language and conception. But in actual fact, that I does not exist. So therefore, phenomena are like an illusion. in that they depend on causes and conditions, parts, a mental imputation. They don't exist inherently or from their own side. So just a reminder, we're under the third heading, cultivating patience that pays no heed to those who cause harm. So now another way to deal with those we come into contact that we perceive to cause us problems is to develop compassion, to open our hearts to them. And thinking that the beings that could harm themselves, could commit suicide, etc., if they will harm themselves, they will also harm others. So why don't we cultivate compassion for those who are harming themselves, who are abiding in anger, giving rise to afflictive emotions? We don't do this because our causes for compassion are incomplete. So we need to develop compassion from the harm doer. We can think that the harm doer is not independent. They are under control of the afflictive emotions in their mind stream that arise without control. They don't have control over these afflictive emotions. And they behave like a crazy person. And a crazy person does not have any freedom. Acting out of those afflictions, that they would even harm themselves. Normally, we would think that an angry person is a bad person. But in fact, we need to develop compassion for them. The harm doer is under control of other conditions, but we don't think about it like that. That person has no independence. If we could see reality, we would develop compassion. We would not get angry with that person. And understanding this wisdom is a way to combine method and wisdom. The method of compassion, the wisdom that understands how they're acting and why they're acting. So we combine method and wisdom in that situation. So we need to arrest causes that give rise to anger. That's the causes of anger in our own mind stream. Just read verse 39. My little note says, Even if it were the nature of the childish to cause harm to other beings, it will be inappropriate to be angry with them, for this would be like begrudging fire for having the nature to burn. Verse 40, and even if the fault were incidental in sentient beings of definite nature, it would be inappropriate to be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to arise in it. If I become angry with the wielder, although I am directly harmed by the stick and so forth, then since he too is incited by hatred, I should be angry with the two or with the hatred. And verse 42, previously I caused similar harm to sentient beings. Therefore, it is right for this harm to occur to me, who is the agent of harm to sentient beings. So stating that we have created the causes and conditions also to be inflicted by the harm of others. So thinking that the nature of space is pure, but due to causes and conditions, smoke arises. The nature of the mind of sentient beings also is pure, but due to causes and conditions, afflictions arise. Stains or afflictions in the mind stream of sentient beings are adventitious. They can be removed. We can work to remove them, thus preventing them from arising. So we take the responsibility. So gathering together all the merit that we've accumulated from engaging in this meditation, and think that may we be able to develop in our mind stream a calm, happy mind. May we be able to divert the afflictions and to never ever cause harm to any living being. And may all sentient beings achieve that state by virtue of our merits, that they are free from suffering and achieve the highest enlightenment as quickly as possible. May we lead them to that state by ourselves alone. Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay. To turn this off. Okay, everybody, thank you. I'm turning you off. If I can. Oh, they're funny, these computers.